really fun project. This is going to become a wall decor piece that you can hang in your home. And we are going to take this piece here, color one side brown and paint the other side blue, and put a different message on each side. And then we will hang it here. This will become an interactive decor piece in your home, so when the season is appropriate, you can change this over to the Let It Snow side. And the great thing is, we are not going to permanently attach this. It will be hung by a hook, so that you can then choose to take this completely off and replace it with another one or with something else that you like. So let's go over the supplies that you're going to need. So we have this large wall plaque, and it actually has hooks for doing it the tall way or the portrait way. So we're going to do portrait size. It already comes whitewashed like that, so you have a really great look. You're going to want an area to work on, so I've just covered my counter with some paper towels. If you have a crafting mat or something, that would be great too. You're also going to need this wood gather sign, and we will paint that. And we're going to need this 6-inch wood disc that already comes with the hook on it and the burlap. We have a brown paint and a blue paint. This is just regular inexpensive acrylic paint. Some E6000. This is to glue down the gather sign. We need a little hook. This has a little screw in it, which we will screw into this wood to hang the wood circle from. And then we have 2 pieces of vinyl. We have a white Let It Snow, and in black we have Grateful, Thankful, and Blessed. I love that. Additional supplies you might need from home, something to mix the paint in. So disposable cups work, and just a little bit of water. So we're going to thin the paint down and make it more of a stain. You'll need something to apply the paint with. A disposable foam brush is great. You can just get one and then rinse it out before you switch to the other color, or just use 2. Some scissors just for opening packaging and that kind of thing. Some tape. This is just regular office Scotch tape. You could use washi tape or masking tape as well. And something to rub the vinyl on. Something like a credit card would work really well. A wooden spoon. You could even use the hard side of the foam brushes as well. And the last thing, maybe either some paper towels or some wipes just for cleanup from the paint. All right. Okay, so let's start with painting. We want to remove any little stickers or labels from our project. Okay, and oh, this one has a little tag we need to trim off. And then we need to open our paint bottles. And make sure you shake these up really well with the lid still on there tight. Sometimes it's natural, sometimes paint can separate a little bit, so make sure you shake them up really well. And let's start with the brown color. We need a little bit of water, and then another cup for the paint itself. Now, you don't have to use a cup. You could use a paper plate. If you have a paint palette, that'll work too. We're just going to squeeze in a small amount of paint onto your palette or into your empty cup. And we're going to paint the gather sign first. And I want this to look, I want to still be able to appreciate the grain, the wood grain in there. So we're going to do a really thin coat. And what I mean by that is I'm going to use my foam brush and put it into some water, kind of soak up some water. And then I'm going to put that into my cup with the paint. I'm going to kind of mix that around and thin out that paint a little bit. Now, to test this and see if we've got the right shade that we like, nobody will ever know. We'll turn this over on the back side of our wood and just give ourselves a little test swatch. I feel like that's a little bit dark, so I'm going to add just a drop or 2 more of water, just a little bit more, and let's mix that up. See, I'm using very, very little. It's barely coating the bottom of this cup. That's much better. Okay, so on our protected surface, let's go ahead and paint that. This is very fast. and easy to do, especially with a foam brush, because the foam brush holds so much of that paint mixture in the foam that you can easily paint a wide surface quickly. Now I'm just going back over and trying to make sure I have a fairly even coat. Now I like it really thin, and the wood grain is coming through on this. If you don't like that, you can paint it a little darker. Let me bring it a little closer to the camera so you can kind of see what we're working with. See all the wood grain in there? Now I think that looks really cool. If you don't like that, just don't even thin out the water. Thin out the paint with water. You could just do it plain. It looks dark on camera, but it's actually a lot lighter than that. Okay, so we'll set that aside and to dry. And then for this guy, on the brown side, I want to use, this is where the tape's going to come into play. We're going to take a bit of tape. It's about as wide as the wood circle is. Okay. And I'm going to literally mask off a whole center section of this wood. And then I'll get another piece of tape and do the same. So I went about a third of the way down, and I'll go a third of the way up on this one. You can totally customize the length of this as much as you want, and then I'm going to wrap it down around the edges. So I know it's hard to see because it's clear tape, but I've got a strip of tape here and a strip of tape here. So with this piece at this particular color, what I still have in my cup, I'm just going to use some of that, and I'm going to paint the top portion above the tape that color. Okay, now I want my next portion to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to take my same cup, I'm not adding any more paint, but I am going to add more water. Do a little bit at a time. And you can play with the ratio here. Now on this one, we cannot use the back side of our wood circle to test our color, because the back side is going to, remember, it's going to be interchangeable, and that's going to be a different color. But if you do need to test, you can still have all this real estate on the back of your gather to try. Okay, I think I'll even thin it down a little bit more. I want a pretty big difference between the first color and the second color. So now it's real thin. Okay. And this is going to be, I'm actually kind of squeezing out some of the excess water on the sides from my foam brush. And now I'm going to paint the center portion of this between the two layers of tape. Much lighter. Okay. And then for the bottom portion, I want that to be even lighter. So I'm going to add even more water. And mix that up. For this entire project, the brown paint, I've used like what, maybe a squeezed out maybe a quarter size amount. So it's very, very little paint. I'm just squishing out excess water on the side. And now we will paint the bottom portion that lightest brown color. Basically, I'm just looking for sort of a soft ombre from the darker, a little bit lighter, and a little bit lighter. Okay. And then we can remove the tape. And what results is this really cool pattern between the two. And this just becomes sort of a very, like a almost faux wood design, you know, like the wood's like been, different shades of wood have been put together. And then we will be putting a vinyl on top of that. We'll let these dry. And when the brown circles dry, we'll come back and we will paint the other side blue. Okay, we are back, and it's time to color or paint the reverse side of our wood circle. And we're gonna do it in blue. Now you can do a wash with this one too, like we did with the other. Or you can just do this color. This is a pretty bright blue, so if you want sort of a softer winter color, you would want to thin it down a little bit. Otherwise, it just depends if you like a really intense color or not. So we'll add just a touch of water. All right, we got some water in there. Let's mix that up with a clean foam brush. So because it's thinner, it's going to be more like a stain, so we will still see the wood grain through this, and it will still be this color. It'll just be a little bit more transparent version of this color. And for this one, we're just going to paint the entire thing. Now, if you liked the striped technique with the tape, you can definitely do that here as well. Or if you like the ombre idea and you want to try it without tape, you could definitely do that as well, where you would start with less thinned water and then adding more and more water as you go down. Don't saturate your foam brush too much, because you don't want it to be leaking over the edges. And I'm painting, my strokes are going in the direction of the wood grain. I don't know that it matters a whole lot, but I just kind of wanted to reinforce that wood grain look through there. I just really like that look. I've added just a touch more water, and I'm pushing out excess on the side of the cup. And I'm going to go over this again. So you just make it as intense as you like it. Remember, it is going to soak in. This is untreated wood. There's nothing underneath the wood, so it is going to soak in and be a little bit lighter when it dries. Okay, let that dry, and we will come back and put it all together. Okay, these are nearly dry now. We've got our gather and our double-sided wood round. While I was letting this dry, I just wanted to show you what it looks like if you thin it down even more. So here's the gather with the same exact color paint. It's just been watered down more, so you just have that lighter color. And so this is totally a personal preference, but it's just a really cool technique by simply thinning the paint. And then I wanted to show you the same on the blue. So here's what I did, and then here is the same exact paint, but much more washed down. You definitely can see the wood grain much better. And it looks like it's two different colors, but it's the same color, just more water. So you can adjust to your own personal preference. All right. Okay, it's time to do the vinyl additions. So we're going to take your vinyl out of its package. And we'll start with the brown side of our wood round. So we're going to be using this one. Now this, you can choose to cut apart each of the words so that you can control the separation of the words, but this is designed to fit on here by itself. I'm going to just put it on as if there are no lines on painted. I'm not trying to get each word in a different spot. I just want them to just land like that. But if you want to, you can cut them apart and rearrange the words, put them in different order, whatever you want to do. So what you need to adhere the vinyl is some kind of blunt edge. You could use the back of a butter knife, a wooden spoon, the clean side of your foam brush, the little bit there, or even a credit card will work. And first you rub over the vinyl. It's sandwiched between a carrier sheet and a transfer sheet. So we're just going to rub over to just make sure that it is completely onto the transfer sheet. And then we are going to peel it apart. This is honestly the trickiest part. You got to get those two layers apart. And then you peel this away. And if any of these if any of your word has not transferred, you put it back and rub. You just peel it off gently. Okay, this is the sticky side of your vinyl, and we want to lay that down smooth and steady onto our wood round. Get our twine out of the way. Okay, and place this on here where you want it. Okay, And then you're going to go back to your credit card or whatever your tool choice was, and you're going to repeat. You're just rubbing, rubbing, rubbing. And when it comes to words, it's really helpful to go around each of the insides of each of the letters, like inside these S's and E's and B's and L's, and on the tips of the T's. Anywhere where there's an edge, it's really helpful to make sure that that's rubbed down and adhered really well. This also helps get the bubbles out, if there are any. Rub, rub, rub. And when you think you have it, you can start to peel the carrier sheet up. And what we want to see is the black vinyl sticking to our wood circle. And I like to pull this direction back and forth gently. Okay, that transferred, but this one didn't. So I'm just going to put it back and rub over that area. And then you're just going to continue that process. You can go from different sides. And there's our first word all transferred, and we're just going to continue on down. And there is our finished edition of the vinyl. Now this is where we will finish with the vinyl on this, but if at home, if you would like to add some sort of sealer, that's a question that we get asked often, you certainly can. You can put a spray sealer over this, even you can put Mod Podge, you could brush that over the top, or even a brush on sealer. That will certainly extend the longevity of how long this will last without the vinyl coming up. But the vinyl will stay on there really well either way, as long as your paint was completely dry. If it's a little bit wet, it's not going to stick on very well. The sealer option, if you're going to spray it, make sure that you do that in a ventilated area or outside. Okay? The advantage of sealing it, in addition to extending the life of it, is it will definitely be a lot easier to dust. Okay, let's do the other side. So for that, we're going to do the Let It Snow vinyl, and it's the same exact process. We're going to take our gift card or blunt object and rub around all these letters. And I love how they've used a snowflake for the O in snow. Now this vinyl has delicate edges around the snowflake, and see the skinny part of the letters? Those will be the trickiest to transfer, so make sure that you rub those areas really, really well. So I'm literally just rubbing while it's still in between the carrier sheets. Okay, so then we're going to peel that apart like we did the other one. And then you're going to very gently forget the dot of the I, which I think is called a pipette. Am I saying that right? I'm not sure. Okay, let's see if we've got it. Start to peel. And we want to see the letters transferring. There we go. Give it a pull in each direction as you go. See how I'm wiggling it back and forth? Okay, right here, this part of the W isn't transferring, so I'm going to put that back down and rub that area. And now my W is coming up, or is transferred. Got a little bit of a snowflake tip that isn't. So just continue this process until you've got it all transferred. Okay, we are done painting. We've added vinyl to both sides. Let's put the whole thing together. So we're gonna bring back, these are all nice and dry now. Bring back our wood plaque, and we wanna make sure that we've got hangers at the top of the long side. So we know that this is the top. And we're just going to dry fit these, so I'm just going to set them on here, see where I like them. And I'm going to be wanting this to hang down. Now, your rope might be a little longer or shorter, and you can untie it or cut it and make it a shorter width, length here, depending on how low you want to hang it. Maybe it's okay with you if it hangs a little lower, you like that. Maybe you want it to hang right in the middle, and you will have to trim your twine a little bit. So figure out where you want it, and then we need to get the hook. And this should have two parts to it. So we have the hook itself and then this little screw bit here. So let's cut off the tag. Alright, so we have this guy, and he has a hole in his backside there, and then we have this screw, and this has a pointed end. Let's see if I can get it. It has a pointed end and a flat end with really close together threads. The flat end with the close together threads is what you're going to put into the hole of the back of the hook. Just screw that on until it fits. It goes right in. And now you're not going to need any special tools for this. This pointed end is what we're going to use to drive it into the wood. And we want to put it, figure out where you want your hook to be so that your circle sign can hang where you want it. And you can make a mark on the wood if you want. And then let me bring this in a little bit closer for you so you can see. So I've made a little mark there. Alright, okay. Then I'm going to use this, I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to press down. I'm pushing down with my shoulder almost. So really get yourself over the top of it. And push and turn, just squirt, just drive it in, and as you turn, you can feel it going right in. The wood's pretty soft, so it's easy to do. And then when you think it's tight, just make sure you go all the way so that the hook is upright. It's that simple. Okay. And then this is never going to get glued down. It's just going to hang on here. And you can turn it to whatever side you want. If you do want to make this a little tighter, you can either just go ahead and tie another knot in it, or you can cut it and tie a new knot, depending on the look that you want. Or you could completely replace this particular twine with something different if you would like a different look. Okay, I just tightened it up. I just added another knot in there, and I think that's going to hang much better for me where I like it. Yes, look at that, much better. Okay, let's glue it together. We're going to use some E6000. It's a very strong adhesive, and so it does have a little bit of a smell as well. So you might want to use this in a ventilated area. And a little bit goes a long way. We're just gonna, you don't need to cover this in glue. Just gonna put a little bit. Okay, so we got a nice little coating on there. And very carefully place this where you want it. Once it's down, that's where it's gonna live. And then just press it down and hold for a few seconds. This is just such a fun project. Be a really good gift to give as well. you can make these in bulk and make a lot of them. In fact, I've just made 7 of them, and I want to show you something. The paint that I used for this in that cup, I never put any more paint in it. I've used it all, but I never put any more paint in it, and I got 7 other gathers painted from just the paint that was in there. So a little bit goes a long way. It's definitely something you could do in bulk, and if you wanted to give it as a gift. But I just think this is really fun. We are finished, and look at how you can just simply turn this for a different message. I also thought it would be really fun to get another one of these circle discs and do like a photo transfer, and you could put your family's photo in there, or you could hang other things from this hook as well. If you put this in your kitchen, it'd be a great place for your apron. It's really great, easy project, but I love the interaction. I wanted to share with you a couple of other ideas using the same technique we used to create this. If you remember, we watered down some brown paint, and then we added a little more brown water, and then a little more water, all with the same shade of brown, and that's how we got this look. You can do the same technique, but with a couple of other shades. So I took the brown paint, add a little water here. Then to that watery mixture, I added a drop of red and this was a bright cherry, primary red color. Mixed into this creates this really cool mahogany look. And then I took this same color and added a drop of bright orange, and I got this look, mixing it into the brown. So you kind of get that cherry walnut or cherry walnut and mahogany sort of look. You can do this with any colors of paint and create that sort of wash. So that's a fun idea for you. Also notice my stripes here of raw unpainted wood are skinnier than here. This one we used regular Scotch tape, and this one I used a narrower washi tape, or you could use masking tape. So you can really vary the look. You could add multiple stripes in here, just have one, whatever you like better. And then also remember on this one we used blue paint, watered down a little bit, and then I showed you taking that same exact color of blue and adding a lot more water and get a very, very light wash. I really like this one because you can really see the wood grain, and maybe that just shade of blue is more appropriate for your home, your home decor, your aesthetic. But also I wanted to share with you just another idea. You can completely change this color. Don't use that color and use more of a minty color. Maybe this color is, more your style. So you can totally change things up and make it your own. And hopefully this will give you some ideas on maybe making a couple of other changeable decorations for your hook, so that you can keep your gather board all year round and just keep changing it for the season or whatever you're feeling like. And like I said, I also think it'd be really fun to take one of these woods and add a family photo.